The great conservationist John Muir is famous for saying, "The mountains are calling and I must go."
This summer, the mountains of New England were calling a man from Colorado, and as 207's Beth McAvoy reports, he went with a purpose.
My legs could use a day off.
For good reason, Chase Harr is tired, but he can't stop smiling.
I also feel really good. I mean, this is probably the peak shape I've been in my life.
In a month and a half, Chase has hiked the 67 mountains in New England that are at least 4,000 feet tall.
329 miles worth of hiking. 67 4,000 footers throughout New England, 5 in Vermont, 14 in Maine, and the huge 48 in New Hampshire.
And he hasn't just gotten himself to the summit. On each climb, Chase has carried up a box.
I mean, this backpack has lived its life. Everyone's always like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You have a box on your back. You are crazy, you lunatic."
Not just to turn heads, but to raise money for Shelterbox.
For Shelterbox, really the center of gravity is providing emergency shelter, and it's for communities that have lost everything in an instant.
Shelterbox is a charity that helps people who've been displaced by major disasters and conflicts. Since 2000, Shelterbox has helped more than 2 million people around the world.
The box contains a 6-person tent, water filtration, cooking equipment, sleeping materials, basic tools, everything you need to restart, rebuild, and reconnect to community and families.
In his Shelterbox, Chase carries what he would have in a backpack.
A puffy and then a rain jacket, and that's it.
I try to keep it as light as possible. That thing is not comfortable.
Harr, who's 23, had never heard of Shelterbox until a chance meeting last year on a Colorado mountain.
There was a girl hiking with a box, and I just remember thinking to myself, why on earth would you hike with a box?
Her name is Brittany Woodrum. She was climbing all of Colorado's 58 peaks over 14,000 feet to raise money for Shelterbox. Chase and Brittany hit it off, finding a lot of common ground. Both are from Kentucky and both love the mountains.
At the very end of her project, she was summiting Crestone Needle. I helped her, and when we got to the summit, I took the box from her. I said, "Hey, your goal was to take the box to the top of 58 peaks. You have done that. Let me take the box down. You know, what's 7 or 8 miles with a box? I can do that." So I strapped the box on, I hiked down, get all the way to the car, and at the end of it, she looks at me and she says, "Well, it's your turn now." And it was kind of a joke.
The joke got serious when Chase learned more.
We're responding every single day around the world to help displaced families. And it's one of the biggest issues that's facing our planet is that there's 112 million people displaced by disaster or conflict. It's more than any time in recorded history. And I would say, yes, the majority of our work is pretty quiet work that we're doing day in and day out, but it's really life-saving for these families.
Shelterbox has very few employees and relies on volunteers around the world.
It's the underdog story. They're helping the people that everyone else is looking over. For me growing up, bullied a lot, always the underdog. Being able to see somebody else stick up for the people who aren't being helped, that's big. It's big to me.
Chase quit his job and used his savings to pay for his journey, but he hasn't done it alone.
Keatna is far and away one of the best adventure dogs on earth.
This one. Other paw. Other paw. Good girl. High five.
Keatna hiked alongside Chase on 45 of the 67 mountains.
She did fantastic.
The journey hasn't been easy. There have been many discouraging and lonely moments along the way.
Physically speaking and technically speaking, the most difficult climb was Katahdin. I did the Knife's Edge, and on top of all of that, we were dealing with 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts that day. And hiking with the box is a bit of a parasail, so that made it dangerous.
On Mount Whiteface in New Hampshire, Chase wasn't sure if he could keep going.
I was hiking up, it was 95 degrees, 100% humidity. These are all conditions that I'm not used to. For maybe 30 minutes, I just sat there and contemplated everything. I was like, what am I doing? I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. I need rest, I need help, I need anything and everything I could get.
A phone call from a friend helped get him back on track.
She basically told me that you can quit now if you want, but I know you won't. Sure enough, I got back on my feet. I walked all the way to the summit. I'm pretty pretty stubborn, pretty determined.
Mountains haven't been the only obstacles. Only a few days ago, Chase got into a car accident in Maine on his way to his last hike, totaling his car. Still, he says the highs have outweighed the lows.
People open up their homes, they would say, hey, you know, we're willing to put you up for a night. Come on through, we'll cook you dinner, make you breakfast.
Woo! It's been a long day.
It's incredible when we meet people like Chase, who are so compelled to help people around the world that they will never meet, but whose lives that they can impact.
It's the mountains that speak to me.
We did it.
They're quiet, they never say a word, but they speak loud to me.
So far, Chase Harr has raised $15,000 for Shelterbox. Each box costs around $1,000. His goal is to ultimately raise $100,000.
That story is wonderful on a whole bunch of levels. Only one is that it just sort of started as a lark and then turned into this crusade.
Right. Yeah, really impressive that he's keeping up with it.